Now I'm going to start this video out by simply reading one of the top rated comments from my previous video, which was a video that tried to, as objectively as I possibly could, break down how much sense it did or didn't make for Disney and Lucasfilm to bet a big part of the future of the franchise on Rey, considering they announced at Celebration this weekend that they're making a new movie focused on her, focused on Rey, and the creation of a new Jedi Order by her. And so anyway, the comment came from Stacy A, who said, "The problem is that the people at Lucasfilm don't seem to either like or respect their consumer base. In fact, they seem to actively resent them. They're making these movies for the fans they want rather than the ones they have." And though I have a few things to say about this, and will in a minute or two, before that I just want to say that it's been a rather interesting weekend for me as I have reported on Star Wars Celebration across both my channels. Because I've pretty much seen or heard it all this weekend, seen the full gambit of comments from both sides about me or directed at me. I've had some people telling me I'm being way too optimistic about things we learned this weekend from Celebration, that tell me Star Wars is dead and I should have long since given up on it, or given up on any hope for the franchise. While others tell me I'm nothing but a Star Wars hater who loves to complain about everything, and they don't know why I even still talk about it because I clearly hate it and I'm so toxic for the community and all of this. And though usually in an odd sort of way I appreciate that I get called both a hater and a shill, that it tells me I'm maybe doing something right, even if some see it as me just being a fence sitter, which I get why some people see me that way, I'm not mad. Though I instead see it as me expressing my own beliefs and opinions, and hopefully inviting others to do the same instead of just picking a side and spewing the same overly positive or overly negative narrative over and over again. Anyway, though usually it doesn't bother me, for some reason this weekend, just how much of it I got, it did start to bother me, and I guess I just wanted to quickly make something clear, which is that my love of Star Wars is independent of Disney's ownership, or anything else really. Meaning that I love Star Wars, despite the fact that I'm not exactly a huge fan of Disney by any stretch, and I think they, or Lucasfilm under them, have made some pretty big mistakes. Nevertheless, I still root for the franchise, and for better or worse, call me an idiot if you want, maybe I deserve it, probably do, but it's going to take a lot for me to give up on it entirely because there's few things I'd like to see more than Star Wars done well or done right. Not that there hasn't been anything at all that I've enjoyed during the Disney era. I'd actually say they're close to batting 500 with me, or 50-50. It just so happens they screw up on the most important stuff. The stuff I feel like they needed to get right, like the sequel trilogy or the Kenobi series, for example. Either way, for those who call me nothing but a hater, I actually do or have praised the things I've enjoyed in the Disney era quite a bit and quite often. You just don't click on those videos, or maybe you want to pretend they don't exist to, I don't know, make yourself feel like a better fan than me, because you've never ever been negative towards Star Wars and positivity is the only thing you allow, unless it's hating on or being negative towards those who don't agree with you about it, then it's cool to turn into a hater yourself. And to be very blunt here, I'm not sorry that I don't bend the knee and swear fealty and praise every single effort of a multi-billion-dollar company like it's a free gift from on high and not something I'm paying for as a customer. Again, I love Star Wars, but I don't and won't have blind faith in those who own it. And if toxicity is sometimes calling into question the content and motivations of a giant corporation like Disney, then being toxic is a label I shall wear like a badge of honor, because we should always be vigilant and question how the rich and powerful wield their influence. And look, honestly, I'd love to always or almost always be talking positively about Star Wars because it was that damn good. That'd be awesome. That's the dream scenario, and it's why I point out the things that I don't like or think are bad, or when I feel like they're putting in low effort. Because I know there are people out there are fans out there who will watch and praise literally everything regardless of quality. And those voices oftentimes need to be counterbalanced to hopefully hold Disney and Lucasfilm to some level of standards. Basically, I try to be a rational fan and commentator on all of this, to point out the bad and the good, in the hopes that the way I handle and present myself and my opinions will not fall on deaf ears at Disney and Lucasfilm. Not that I think they are listening to me or watching my videos, but hopefully you get where I'm coming from. Hopefully they are listening to those of us in the fandom who do have complaints, and they don't just listen to those that praise anything and everything. Hopefully they are taking all of our feedback into consideration. Which leads us right back to Stacey A's comment about them, Disney and Lucasfilm, not liking or respecting or maybe even actively resenting their fan base and wanting to have a different set of fans altogether. And look, you may not agree with that. You may think it's utterly ridiculous. But clearly, a lot of fans do feel this way. They feel like Lucasfilm is purposely trying to push them away. I mean, it may only be roughly 1,000 people on one video that gave this comment a thumbs up, but it is only one video. So imagine how many more fans out there who never watched that video feel the exact same way. And if you're Disney and Lucasfilm and you heard this or read this, that some of your customers, maybe a lot of them, feel this way, wouldn't you maybe wonder why they did and be curious about how you could rectify it? Wouldn't literally any company want to know why their customer base feels like they don't care about them? Wouldn't it, as Disney, concern you to learn that maybe a lot of your fans really don't want the character of Rey to return in a film? That not only will they not go and see it, but they will actively reject it. They will do everything they can to destroy the film during the build-up and pick it apart after it is released. Which I'm not saying I condone, though yes, people can do what they want. But the reason many have been calling me too optimistic, or did this weekend, is because even though I think it's a bad idea and could easily end up being a big mistake, I will give the Rey film a chance and a fair shake. Though yeah, if I think it was bad after seeing it, I will tear it apart. Though at the same time, if it's good, I will also say as such. Anyway, in the eyes of Disney and Lucasfilm, this aforementioned hate for Rey and eventual movie she's going to be in is likely only happening for one reason, or will be sold in the media this way, which is that anyone not happy about this must hate female characters. We've heard this all before. And they outright reject this recent push to include more of them in Star Wars or other places in entertainment, or more women in other roles in Star Wars related to it, like behind the camera, for example. But if we play out this train of thought, if we assert that hate for a character tends to be predicated on gender, we run into a problem when it comes to women who also don't like Rey. I mean, do they too not want more female characters in Star Wars? And what about when men hate male characters? What about the hate Hayden Christensen got back in the day playing Anakin in the prequels? Was that because men didn't want male characters in Star Wars either?
That doesn't compute. Wait, you're under arrest.
But that not computing doesn't matter. And here's the problem you could say with all of this. Here's the most frustrating part as someone who sits back and tries to look at everything rationally or logically. Because you see, the more they push female characters, Disney, Lucasfilm, whoever, the more pushback it gets, to the point where pretty much the inclusion of any female character today gets met with skepticism and questions of, is this going to be woke? Thus, the more fuel they are given in this fight, the more reason or excuses they have to fight even harder for the cause of including more women at any cost because of how much they are being rejected. Which is all part of the great irony here, that the more vehemently some fight against it, the more Disney and other companies are going to do whatever it takes to win, all the while being painted as the heroes in the story by the media. And even though those fighting against it, for the most part, or by and large, really do just want good female characters in stories. Though maybe the greatest irony of all is, had Disney and Lucasfilm just put more thought and care into the character of Rey in the first place, if they just focused on making her a truly great character regardless of her gender and before worrying about trying to make a point about women with her, they likely would have ended up making the point they were trying to make about women and great female characters in the first place, as well as created the next iconic character of Star Wars, one we'd all be eager to see return right now. Well, that's all I got for you this time. Make of this video what you will. It's been a little all over the place, sorry, but it's been an interesting weekend. Anyway, tell me what you think about any and all of this in the comments below, and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.